Yeah, let's talk about one of those other candidates that I think this guy, I think he could do it. So, as you say, Gavin Newsom, he is not making any sort of backtracking statements about his ambitions. It's quite clear what he's doing. I mean, I've seen him in Davos this week talking about how everyone's rolling over for Trump. I don't he's the governor. I don't know why he's there, but when there's all these other world leaders there, but he's making a name for himself. He's becoming part of the story. He's doing great PR for himself. I also thought it was interesting that he's got this podcast that he's doing, and it's the guests he's having on which really tell me that he's figured out a path. I mean, obviously he had Charlie Kirk on when he started the podcast, and recently he had Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro went back on his own platforms and said this about his experience, which I thought was interesting.
Had a little bit of time off camera with Gavin Newsom. I'd met him briefly before. And like most politicians, he's very good in person. I will say that just as a class of people, politicians in person, way better than politicians on camera, just generally speaking. And we all know a bunch of politicians. And I think that this is the general rule about literally all of them. So off camera, he's very friendly. He's very garrulous. He will kind of get a little more honest with you than he might in terms of his positions on camera.
I play that clip because I'm not surprised that he's a good schmoozer. I'm not surprised that he, off camera, likes to, reach out to people on the other side. But I think, one of the problems that Democrats and Republicans have had recently is the idea of just appealing to your base, like the other side of the enemy. We don't care about them. I just want to get you guys. But when Gavin Newsom's out there putting Ben Shapiro on his podcast, which would infuriate some of his fans that he's even platforming someone like Ben Shapiro, but when he's putting Ben Shapiro on a podcast like that, and then Ben Shapiro does have the ability to walk away going, it was actually a pretty positive experience. He heard me out. We had some fun off camera. This is a guy, to me, Gavin Newsom, who's actively looking to extend his hand across the aisle and bring over a couple people that even people that aren't inclined to vote for him can at least go, I kind of like this guy, see where he's coming from, in a very, Bill Clinton-esque sort of way of just, well, everyone likes him. Maybe not everyone wants to vote for him, but everyone kind of likes him.
I don't know if everybody likes him, but I think people certainly respect that he's engaging in this kind of, I don't know if I'd say friendly, but combat with his political adversaries. Look, he's seen as this extremely, this operator, right? He's got slicked back hair. He's tall. He's got the pearly white fake teeth, which probably, gives some people the used car salesman sort of vibe. But he's seen as, somebody who just wants to be president so badly and has wanted it forever. Having held a bunch of different statewide. I think he was also mayor of San Francisco as well. But look, I think moving forward, the Democratic base is just craving somebody who's going to fight Trump. Obviously Trump ended up sweeping all 7 battlegrounds, won the popular vote for the first time in 20 years. But now Republicans got a little bit complacent. Obviously, the polls are not looking good for them. So now they just want somebody who's going to fight Trump at every turn. Look at Gavin Newsom. He's somebody whose gamble on decade redistricting really paid off in California. Republicans started that in Texas because Republicans are so paranoid about losing the House because Trump doesn't want to get impeached again and have everybody in his cabinet investigated by a Democrat-run House. But that seems to have backfired, and that's in part because Gavin Newsom was such an operator, and his gambit really played off. And now Republicans are set to lose a ton of congressional seats in his state. So I think they're looking at him and saying, okay, he took a risk there, and it paid off, and he's somebody who can fight Trump and win.
Yeah. So one thing with Gavin Newsom, I find, there's a lot of high information voters out there, and we live in the high information voter world. We're constantly analysing the day-to-day politics. But there are a whole lot of people that sort of just around election day sort of sum up who do they like more personally and vote accordingly. I think it's a bigger issue here in Australia because we have compulsory voting. People have to vote than it is America where people can just stay home if they wanted. But the reason I bring this up is because the next election, especially the midterms, but probably the next presidential election, is really going to be fought on cost of living. We've seen Zoran Mamdani get to New York. We've seen Trump really hammer down on affordability is a big issue after saying that it wasn't a big issue. I just wonder, does Gavin Newsom just look too rich to ever appeal to voters who are struggling with their hip pocket? He's got LA millionaire face, and I don't know how he overcomes that.
That's actually a really great question, and you're hitting the nail on the head. There's something about Gavin Newsom that's just a little bit off-putting, where it's like, this guy is just like kind of like just too slick for me. And I think that there are going to be a lot of voters who do wrestle with that. And I think looking beyond that smart question of yours, another thing is Republicans are saying, okay, California is a disaster. Some of the look at the wildfire rebuilding and the disastrous permitting process, where after these horrible fires in the Palisades and middle class neighborhood Altadena, which gets no attention from the media, they're having so much struggle rebuilding there. There's a ton of homelessness in California. It's extremely expensive. They're considering a billionaire tax there, which a lot of Republicans think would cause a lot more people to flee California. So I think he's going to have a tough time kind of answering for his record, but for now he's counting on his wins to propel him forward.
To watch a full conversation between me and Audrey, where we touch on Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, who is going to be running in 2028, please click the link in the description below, which will take you to the full interview. And if you're not already, please subscribe to Sky News Australia so you can stay up to date with not just my videos, but all of the other videos we have here from all of our excellent commentators.